Right, a bit of knowledge is about the Garden of Eden. And the Garden of Eden, see, is the ultimate idea of the tea drinkers. Right. So when you have the sort of idea of the garden, right, you're talking about like a gardener type of situation, like a keen tiller of the soil and all that. So you're talking about farming and gardening type of ideas. Right. So when you have the sort of Garden of Eden, right, it's very curated, and it becomes like Eden becomes free den, right? So the den is referring to the lion's den, right? So not at the sort of Freemason as the lion. When you translate the word Freemason into Hebrew symbols, it sort of spells out lion, like plain as day. So that's like the it's obviously a coded language, and Hebrew is obviously a coded Masonic language, and not sort of ancient, but fairly recent, like, as in 300 years old type of thing. Right? But yeah, that's the free den, right? Now another thing, another translation of Eden is when you rearrange it becomes need, right? Need. So it's like the Garden of Need. So it's like who is needed, right? The whittling it down type of thing, right? So when you have a garden idea, it's like you plant plants, and you sort of organise the garden. You cut down things that you don't want, right? And you sort of plant rows of like flowers or plants, whatever, which you want. You know what I mean? You organise the garden, and you're in charge of the garden, right? So this is like the Royal Masonic type of idea of the Garden of Eden, right? And so it's like the whittling it down to basically who is needed, see, who is needed by this Royal Masonic network, right? So that's like ideas there. And of course, the garden, you've got the den idea again, gar. The gar is a funny type idea as well. Gar, I'll have to have a further look at that, like. But you have like other ideas such as Gerald Gardner, who's a Wiccan, he's a Wiccan priest or druid or something like that, associated with witchcraft stuff and all that. Very famous in the 1950s and 60s, I think he was. He was out on the TV shows all the time and all that. Similar, like a similar thing, Aleister Crowley and that. And he was known for and there's a lot of pictures of Gerald Gardner, and he's like got this sort of crazy, wild-eyed stare and all that. You know what I mean? Like the sort of that type of meme to him and all that. And he's known for like doing a naked dancing type of thing. See, dancing naked, doing on the solstice and all that type of thing. See, Gerald Gardner. So that's to do with the garden. See, and so when you have that Garden of Eden, right? Again, right. So it's like farming ideas and growing. See, rows, like the idea of a row. When you have a row of plants, see, it's like what's it? Row. Michael, row your boat ashore. See, Michael, row your boat ashore. Hallelujah, type of thing. See what I mean? So have rows of plants, right? And this brings about the idea of Prince Charles talking to plants, right? So you have that coded type ideas within the media of like Prince Charles talks to plants, and it sort of gives them a sort of persona through this media. It's a bit kooky, a bit, you know what I mean, a bit oddball and all this type of thing. But as we know, these media reports and stories are just basically coded type of informations to the sort of Masonic network. So basically, when you have this idea of Prince Charles talking to his plants, it means the idea of he's talking to his own, Masonic, row of people, right? And then so you take the idea that in this garden, right, they sort of view it that they sort of control the garden type of thing. They're in charge of the garden, right? And you have other sort of maybe like unwanted plants, like weeds or wildflowers type of thing. Say like natural flowers, and they're just growing out the sort of, growing wild in a garden, right? Then what they do is sort of stamp on them, see? They stamp on a certain unwanted plants, unwanted flowers, see, unwanted growth. See what I'm saying? Stamp on it. There's a sort of the growth idea. You've got like the G, the Ru, and then the TH. See what I mean? Triple tav again, right? So the stamp on them, like the idea of that actor, Terence Stamp. See, Terence Stamp, the stamp on the unwanted type of plants, right? And then of course these plants, yeah, maybe die out, grow twisted, crooked, bent over to one side type of thing. See what I mean? So they have these ideas like gardening ideas, farming ideas, that type of thing. See, tilling of the soil and treatment. See what I mean? The way they treat people. See what I'm saying? So it's like that's the Garden of Eden. See, it's a meme. See what I mean? It's an metaphorical sort of representation. See, the garden idea and all that.